It is a humbling thought, isn't it? That the oldest story we have, the first great epic of human literature, is not a tale of creation, nor a simple myth of gods and monsters, but a story about US. A story etched into clay tablets 4,000 years ago, surviving the collapse of empires and the turning of ages. To ask the one question that still haunts our every waking moment and defines our modern world. What do we do when we realize we are going to die? How do we find meaning in a life that is finite? Our ancestors, in the cradle of civilization, did not shy away from this question. They faced it head on, and the answer they crafted, the story of Gilgamesh, is perhaps the most profound inheritance they have left us. It is the DNA of all storytelling, the original blueprint for the hero's journey, and a guide to the human heart as true today as it was in the sun-scorched city of Uruk. The story begins with a paradox, a figure of impossible contradiction. Gilgamesh, king of Uruk. He is 2/3 God and 1/3 man. Think about what that means. He possesses the strength, the beauty, the brilliance of the divine, but he is shackled by the one fatal flaw of humanity, mortality. This isn't just a biographical detail. It is the central conflict of his entire existence and ours. He is a king who builds magnificent walls, so high they kiss the sky. Yet he exercises his power with the reckless abandon of a tyrant. He is a shepherd to his people who has become a wolf. His subjects cry out not from external threat, but from the crushing weight of their own protector. This is the first piece of wisdom the ancients offer us. Unchecked power, even godlike power, does not lead to contentment. It leads to a profound and desperate boredom, a spiritual emptiness that can only be filled by transgression, by pushing boundaries simply to feel something. Gilgamesh is a man who has everything, and therefore has nothing worth striving for. He is a god playing at being a man, and he is failing miserably. The gods, hearing the cries of the people, answer not with punishment, but with a mirror. They create Enkidu, and in his creation, we find another layer of staggering depth. Enkidu is not another king or warrior. He is a wild man, formed from the earth itself, living in perfect harmony with the beasts of the field. He is pure nature, instinct, the untamed world before the walls of a city carved it into submission. He is everything Gilgamesh is not. He represents the part of ourselves we left behind when we built the first city, the part that runs with the gazelles and understands the language of the wind. The storytellers then show us the birth of civilization itself in a single, poignant act. A temple priestess is sent to him. Through her, through human connection and intimacy, Enkidu is awakened to a new consciousness. But this awakening is also a loss. He loses his raw animal speed. The beasts he once called family now flee from him. He has become self-aware, and in that awareness, he is now alone. This is the price of civilization to become human, is to be exiled from the simple Eden of pure nature. Lost and seeking a place in this new world, Enkidu finds his way to Uruk, and his destiny collides with Gilgamesh. They don't talk, they fight. A battle of titans that shakes the very foundations of the city. One is the embodiment of civilization's highest power. The other, nature's raw strength. They are perfectly matched because they are two halves of the same whole. And when the dust settles, their struggle does not end in death, but in a profound recognition. They look at each other and see the missing part of themselves. In that moment, a tyrant finds an equal, a wild man finds a brother, and one of the greatest friendships in literature is born. This is the story's next revelation. We cannot truly know ourselves in isolation. We are defined and completed by our connection to others, especially to those who mirror our deepest, often hidden aspects. Gilgamesh's journey toward humanity does not begin with a quest or a crown. It begins with a friend. With Enkidu by his side, Gilgamesh's restless energy is finally channeled. But it is still the energy of a young god, aimed at the wrong target. He seeks immortality not through wisdom, but through fame. He declares they will journey to the cedar forest and slay the monstrous guardian, Humbaba. This is the classic hero's quest. The pursuit of a glory so great that one's name will live forever. It is an attempt to cheat death by becoming a legend. And they succeed. They conquer the unconquerable and return to Uruk as celebrated heroes. But the story warns us that this kind of immortality is a fragile illusion. The goddess Ishtar, drawn to Gilgamesh's glory, proposes marriage. He rejects her, not with grace, but with a cruel, arrogant tirade, listing the grim fates of her former lovers. It is an act of supreme hubris. He has conquered a monster, and now he believes he can insult a god without consequence. This is where the story pivots from a heroic adventure into a devastating tragedy. The spurned goddess unleashes the bow of heaven, and again, the two friends unite and slay the beast. But this time, they have gone too far. The gods decree that a price must be paid, and that price is Enkidu. He is struck by a mysterious illness, and for the first time, Gilgamesh is powerless. All his strength, all his divine heritage, cannot stop the slow, agonizing decay of his friend. He watches, helpless, as the man who was his mirror, his other self, wastes away and dies. And here, the true epic begins. The first half of the story was a prologue. The real battle was never against Humbaba or the Bull of Heaven, the real monster. The one Gilgamesh must now face is death itself. The loss of his friend shatters him, but it is more than grief, it is terror. He looks at Enkidu's body and sees his own future. He, the king who was two-thirds god, is gripped by the horrifying animal fear of his one-third mortal part. The thought of his own body turning to dust, of his consciousness winking out into nothingness, becomes an obsession. Fame is now meaningless. Power is a joke. Glory is ash. There is only one thing left to seek: eternal life. He abandons his throne, his fine clothes, his entire identity, and sets out on a journey to the ends of the earth. He seeks the one man who is said to have cheated death, Utnapishtim, the survivor of the Great Flood. This journey is a descent into the underworld of the self. He crosses mountains no mortal has ever crossed, travels through a tunnel of absolute darkness for 12 leagues, and confronts scorpion beings who guard the edge of the world. He is no longer a king. He is a pilgrim, stripped of everything but his fear. When he finally reaches Utnapishtim, he receives not a secret, but a story. Utnapishtim recounts the tale of the Great Flood, a story so ancient it predates the biblical account of Noah by a millennium, and explains that his immortality was a unique, unrepeatable gift from the gods. There is no secret formula. Death, he tells Gilgamesh, is the fate of all mankind. As if to prove the point, he challenges the exhausted king to a simple test. Stay awake for 6 days and 7 nights. If you cannot conquer sleep, the little brother of death, how can you hope to conquer death itself? Gilgamesh, weary beyond measure, immediately succumbs to sleep. He fails. He fails utterly. The physical body, with its needs and its weariness, has betrayed his divine ambition. Yet there is one last glimmer of hope. Utnapishtim's wife, taking pity on him, reveals a secret. A plant that grows at the bottom of the sea. A plant that doesn't grant eternal life, but restores youth. It is a chance to turn back the clock. With renewed determination, Gilgamesh ties stones to his feet, sinks to the bottom of the ocean, and retrieves the thorny plant. He holds in his hands a second chance. But the wisdom of the ancients is subtle and often cruel. On his journey home, Gilgamesh stops to bathe in a cool spring. He leaves the plant on the bank, and a serpent, drawn by its fragrance, slithers out, eats the plant, and immediately sheds its skin, renewed. This moment is not just a tragic accident. It is the story's most profound philosophical statement on the nature of existence. The serpent, an ancient symbol of cycles, of renewal, of life regenerating from itself, is the rightful heir to this power. Eternal renewal belongs to the cycles of nature, not to the linear, self-aware path of a human being. Gilgamesh's attempt to steal it was an act against the natural order. He is left with nothing. Every quest has failed. Every hope has been extinguished. Broken and empty-handed, Gilgamesh finally returns to Uruk. And it is here, in the heart of his failure, that he finds true wisdom. He stands before the city and looks up at the great walls he once built in his arrogant youth. The script on the clay tablet tells us he points them out to the boatmen who brought him home, describing how they were made, the skill of their foundations, the permanence of the baked brick, and in that moment, he understands. The narrator's voice changes. The frantic desperation is gone, replaced by a quiet, profound acceptance. He could not make his body immortal. He could not find the magic plant. But the walls would endure. They would outlast him. They would protect his people. They would hold the memory of his reign. His immortality was not to be found at the edge of the world. It had been waiting for him, right here, at home. This is the final, transcendent wisdom of Gilgamesh. The journey from a tyrant seeking personal glory to a pilgrim seeking personal immortality ends with a wise king who understands that true immortality lies in legacy. It is not about living forever. It is about creating something that outlives you. It is the shift from the self to the collective, from the body to the story. Gilgamesh finally accepts his one-third human part, and in doing so, becomes the greatest of kings. He learns that the proper response to the terror of death is not to run from it, but to build something meaningful in the time that we have. We, in our modern age, no longer build great walls of brick and clay to protect our cities, but we build other things. We build families and companies. We create art and science. We write books and code. We contribute to the vast, ongoing project of human civilization. The question the Epic of Gilgamesh leaves us with, echoing across 4,000 years, is not how we can escape our end. It is a far more important question. What walls are we building? What legacy, what story will stand and speak for us long after we are gone?